the UN Secretary General hosted the Climate Action Summit because for too long we've been talking about doing something and we've been negotiating about doing something, but not much action is happening, and that is why we are where we are now. And the Secretary General invited people that were willing to commit to something really transformative that would move the needle on climate change, on environmental protection, on air pollution, on water scarcity, on water quality. So it was all about the people and the planet.
How hopeful can we be for the future of our world from what you saw here this time?
I think there's everything to be hopeful. There were numerous world leaders, heads of government, heads of states from big countries from around the world, small countries that have a lot at stake. So all countries of the world came together, the private sector, the civil society, non-governmental organizations, young people. So I think there's everything to be hopeful. I think this has really created a momentum that we must capitalize upon by working with people that have promised to do something and make sure that it happens because the world desperately needs it.
Do you think that there are countries that need it more than others?
Absolutely. I mean, there are countries that are at the front line of the climate change battle, like small island developing states, landlocked states with little access to water sources, countries that suffer from perennial drought, which will only get worse with global warming. So I think there are a lot of countries with hundreds of millions of people living in these countries that are going to be disproportionately affected in terms of the adverse impacts of climate change. As far as the Mediterranean is concerned, whether you take Greece, you take Turkey, you take other major countries in the region like Jordan, Lebanon, I mean, these are like the cradles of human civilization. They have tremendous cultural artifacts, and without our culture we are nothing. So I think with rising temperatures and rising sea levels and changing weather patterns, our cultural heritage is going to be also impacted like anything else. And we should do everything we can with whether it is governments or whether it is UN organizations like ours, but I would suggest UNESCO, which is the main UN entity dealing with cultural heritage and artifacts. So we are all concerned, we are all working together to see how best to protect our common cultural heritage.
The Greek Prime Minister brought this specific issue to the General Assembly and tried to ask for help from the UN. What is a way that the UN could help the Greek Prime Minister's proposal to try to protect those landmarks you just mentioned? What specific actions you could do?
Well, the UN has a lot of technical expertise. UNESCO is the world's educational, scientific and cultural organization, so there's a lot of technical expertise within UNESCO and other entities that are working in this area. But I think the greatest strength of the UN is in building partnerships, building bridges, bringing people together around our common challenges. So I think in that the UN can do a lot.
Could the UN help economically for such actions?
Well, I mean, the UN is an organization of member states. So once any particular idea is identified as something that should deserve our common attention, then basically countries of the world come together and put the resources. So of course there are priorities, and but I don't see any reasons why other member states won't consider this as a priority as much as any other climate change priority.
Well, because some countries, they do have landmarks, others don't. For example, Egypt would be very interested, Greece and Turkey would be very interested in that, but maybe Portugal won't, be as much.
I don't think countries think like that, because they see more. I mean, although it may be geographically situated in one country or the other, they see these as common heritage of mankind. So if it is a common heritage of humankind, then we can't be talking in terms of national boundaries and where are the artifacts situated or where are the cultural heritage sites situated. The whole world goes there. And why? Because we value it. So I think I haven't heard anything from any country that would complain or object to our common heritage being protected. I myself haven't heard. I'll be surprised.